It's Raffy from Turning Point UK, and today we're here in the very liberal Camden town to see what Londoners think about the state of politics in 2019. Do you have any mates that are Tories?
No, I don't think I.
Would you be mates with a Tory?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on why they're a Tory, and look, at the end of the day, like I'm disagreeing with people is one thing, but when they try and deny the existence of entire groups, like if you're a homophobe, if you're a transphobe, if you're sexist, if you're racist, that's not politics. That's just denying the existence or denying the rights of an entire group of people. And at that point, it goes beyond just a disagreement. Like that's just a bad person at that point.
But there are, a lot of gay people in the Tory party, a lot of ethnic minorities, people within the Tory party. Are they intrinsically a homophobic or racist party?
The party as a whole, yes, just because they have gay members and whatnot. At the end of the day, the majority of the party is straight white men, and they are the ones that are dictating majority of the policies, and they always will have their own interests at heart.
Boris Johnson's cabinet, though, is the most ethnically diverse cabinet we've ever had in this country.
And I'm sure it is. Does that necessarily mean much? I don't think it really does. Do I think that that's going to, does that mean that they're going to end racism? I really, really doubt it.
If people were to vote for a no-deal Brexit and it came out in the majority, would politicians still have a duty to follow through?
Well, I guess if people voted for it, then yes. But I think it's probably the worst political decision we've ever made as a country. I think basically the Queen should just step in and behead a lot of them. And, say, no, I'm taking over, enough of this crap, basically. That's what I think.
So in your opinion, what's the more dangerous ideology? Socialism or capitalism?
Shit, that's hard. I guess capitalism, but I don't think either of them are really particularly harmful.
Fair enough, mate.
Yeah.
Considering the referendum result in 2016, do you think politicians have a duty to carry out Brexit as promised?
No, because in Turkey and in our history lessons, we learned that people who live in London or the United Kingdom is mostly the oldest people. So I think they are more like extremists. They are maybe a racist, and they think that obviously a Great Britain, let's do this again, and let's do the Brexit and separate our Great Britain to the Europe. So I think most people in London is old. So I think so. I think it's not right because they are not their duty. They're old, and of course their opinions are matter, but their opinions are not as modern as ours. So we are the future, I guess, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? Am I clear?
I know exactly what you mean. So, do you think Boris Johnson has an air of privilege around him, would you say?
Yes, most certainly.
And compared to Jeremy Corbyn, certainly?
In terms of believed received privilege and sneering self-developing superiority, yeah.
That's interesting. So what if I were to tell you that Boris Johnson's assumed net worth is 2 mil and Corbyn's is actually 4 mil?
Based on what criteria?
Based on figures and stats.
Jeremy Corbyn's net worth is £4 million.
Yeah.
I would find that hard to believe.
Do you think that the government has a duty to fulfil the Brexit referendum of 2016?
That's a good one. Well done. I think that Brexit was a bad bad idea, and I think there was a memo that went around a while ago that basically all of the government have admitted that it's a damage control exercise at this point. So, I think if the government are admitting that it's been a bad idea, if electoral fraud was committed when the vote was happening, then I think maybe that's cause to have a second referendum. Maybe, just maybe. And I really do not trust the Tory party for a minute to deliver Brexit. In fact, I think calling it like a democratic vote and the voice of the people or whatever, I think that's really misleading. I mean, what was the vote turnout? It was quite high, yeah, but even then it was only, 49%? Why do 49% of 51% rather of the turnout, why do they get to dictate what happens to all of us? And it will affect all of us. I mean, a no-deal Brexit will be fucking disaster, and I think even the government will admit that.
Well, they did say they carry out the will of the people, whatever it was, whether it was Remain or Leave. They did say they'd carry it out before the referendum. So do you think they have a responsibility to fulfil on their promises?
Well, I mean, when has the government ever fulfilled their promises? I don't really believe in government, so it's kind of a difficult question for me to answer what I think a government should do. But to be honest, I think that, as I've said before, I just don't think that Brexit is necessarily the will of the people. I think, we need to have another referendum where all sides are honest about the consequences of Brexit, rather than stupid slogans on buses about £3 million going to the NHS.
And you said you're an anarchist. I assume that means you believe in some sort of limited government or similar?
I believe in direct democracy, so I believe that we should organise ourselves into very small groups. I think the number I seem to remember is that about 200 people is psychologically shown to be, don't quote me on this, but it's psychologically shown to be the biggest number you can get while you still feel part of a team. So you split everybody into like communes of groups of 200, and then put them in like a bigger commune group of 20,000, and then that's how everything operates. And instead of having a centralised government, everybody just cooperates with each other for use of contracts.
Do you not think the biggest group that binds people is the nation state?
I don't think so at all. I mean, British identity is so elusive. I mean, if we're talking about Britain, I mean...
Do you think? I mean, you go down to the pub, you have a few pints with your mates...
But there's so many people who don't do that. I think the typical idea of what is British just really doesn't apply to many people. And there's Wales and Scotland who have completely different ideas about their identity. And, obviously there are some nationalistic people who will claim that there's some national bond or something. But
are you proud of Britain?
No.